All right, it's Mark Murphy back with TravelTube.com, the travel expert channel. That means you, the travel advisor. So I've got a great week because I took last week off. There was some news that came out. So today's going to be a news roundup, and you may have seen these, you may have not seen them. So first up, the airlines are at it again. This time with lockers, which is basically your overhead bin, and you're going to have to pay $18 or more depending on the plane and its configuration. And I'm going to get to that. It's currently an Australian airline, but is that coming to the USA? Stay tuned. Also, ICE is detaining foreign citizens at airports with expired US visas. That's from the New York Times. I'll get into that. Of course, we just recently had Fauci testifying about the whole COVID, whatever. I thought it'd be a good time to address those who want it all just to go away. Let's stop talking about this. This was years ago. I'm going to address those folks. Also, TSA discovers something that's incredibly unique in a checked bag. You will not believe what they uncovered. Also, I'm sitting here in New Jersey in my makeshift studio, and they just implemented a new law that started here in July that's tied to e-bikes and injuries. So I'm going to get into that. And I'm also going to get into the whole Jersey Shore thing. An influencer just posted that she spent $10,000 to come to the Jersey Shore for a week. And she's saying, no way, this is crazy. Why would I do that? And I'll get into that. And could you fly on an airplane for an entire day, 24 hours? Well, the longest nonstop flights are about to happen. Hello, Groundhog Day. And I've flown a lot. So I'm going to get into all of this and probably, with my ADHD, touch on a few other things. With your ADHD, get a grip on it. And please follow us on the social media platforms and all the podcast apps. And absolutely sign up for our weekly newsletter because you'll be the first to get this. We send it out 6:37 a.m. in the morning. It goes out every Thursday morning, unless I take a week off, which I did last week because I had family in town. And it was a little slow. So make sure you do that. Support those who support you. All right. With that said, yes, the airlines are at it again. They're at it again. How are they at it again? Well, they're nickel and diming you. This time it's an airline called Jetstar. And what Jetstar is doing, let me pull that up for you. What Jetstar is doing is they're saying, you know what? We want to go ahead and charge you a little bit more money so that you can pay us, these lovely airline folks, to be able to bring your stuff on board, right? So it's Jetstar. It's a low-cost carrier in Australia. And if you want to use your overhead lockers for bags, God bless you, you're going to be paying for that. Will this stick? Will people be okay with it? You know what? You don't really have a choice. If you don't realize it, in the U.S., 4 major airlines control over 80% of domestic traffic. So it's literally impossible for somebody to avoid what they're doing on one airline, because guess what? If one airline moves in one direction, all the others follow. And a lot of people don't realize that. It's an oligopoly. And is it collusion? Call it whatever you want. But when you see one make a move and all the others follow, then you know that they're looking and they're immediately reacting to what else is going on. To me, it's the evil of having to travel. My least favorite part about travel is flying. And for a guy who's been to somewhere around 80 countries, I haven't been out of the country since 2020. Haven't been out. But I've also traveled all over the freaking world. So people wonder why, why I figured you travel, you're retired, this and that. I guess if you call TravelTube.com retired, I guess I am technically retired. But at the same time, yeah, you know what? There are people out there that I know want to retire so they can travel. I retired so I didn't have to travel. How crazy is that? Now, do I love traveling? Absolutely. I think anybody who's been around the world like me sees so many great things and understands that travel is really important for bringing people together. So yes, I will get back on the road, but I've got the advantage of being able to stay at the Jersey Shore in the summer, which a lot of people, I'm going to get into it, spend $10,000, $13,000, $20,000 for a week, depending on your accommodations. You can spend a lot less. You can spend a few $1,000s, but if you rent a big house and you got a bunch of family members and you amortize that across everybody, it is what it is. All right. So we covered the airline situation. What else is coming up? And you know what? What else is coming up? There's a lot coming up because you've got ICE detaining people at airports. Now, of course, the New York Times is outraged that, foreigners who have come to our country and overstayed their visa or should never have been here in the first place are going through TSA security and showing up, to book it, to travel somewhere on a flight, and they're getting grabbed. So ask yourself, let's back up. Why is ICE in the airports? Oh, that's right. Democrats wanted to shut down the government and they wanted to shut down ICE. Remember, we talked about this. I was on a lot of TV networks talking about the difficulty of travel and these TSA lines. Some of you got stuck in 4 or 5 hour TSA lines. You turned around and left because you're never going to make your flight. Excuse me. Those things do happen, and they did happen. So what did the administration do? They brought in ICE agents to help alleviate the crowding and the long lines. And then they just stayed. And, think about it. The TSA is run by the government. The government has access to the people that are booking, obviously for security reasons, and they can flag people that are ready to travel if they're not supposed to be in the country. I don't see why that's a big deal. It's certainly better than trying to find somebody on the streets of Minneapolis, for instance. Everyone was upset about that. This is a much cleaner thing. You don't have to worry about them having weapons because they've gone through security. They've been screened. It's actually far safer for them and for officials, law enforcement. I'm okay with it. Where do you stand? Moving on. Was it a week ago? I think it was a week ago. We had Fauci testifying in front of Congress, and he took the fifth 111 times. And of course, I don't do much posting random things on Facebook anymore. And the reason is the idiots that come out of the woodwork. And here's what's really interesting to me. I find that the people that were so pro-lockdown, shutting down businesses, shutting down your ability to travel, shutting down your ability to visit with loved ones. Remember, you can't gather with more than a certain number of people. At the same time, you had people like Gavin Newsom gathering with a bunch of people in a restaurant that was forced to be closed for the common people. But for him, no problem. And that's where I have a problem. If you thought COVID was so deadly, why did 1,200 healthcare workers sign a petition saying to drop all mandates for people that wanted to protest the killing of George Floyd? I would say the overdose of George Floyd. That's pretty clear now. But at the same time, the same people that were all, excited to shut everything down and suck on the government's teat, to get through it, get that free money, right? Don't bother working, or do the old remote working where you're not really working. You know what I mean? Like a lot of you, that was fun for all of you. You guys got puppies. You stayed in your slippers. Everything was great. You had no problem with it. Whereas business owners got screwed, especially in very large cities and states where they felt like the lockdown should go longer and longer and longer. Remember, kids not going to school, et cetera. So I shared something where I posted a picture I just stole from somebody I saw on social media. And, it was basically, I'll just paraphrase, that the unvaccinated were right. Meaning everyone was forcing you to take an experimental medical vaccine. It was experimental, folks. Emergency use authorization. That's what it was. It didn't go through the normal things, the normal process to approve a vaccine. And of course, I've been called an anti-vaxxer, MAGA person, praying for my death, which is really lovely, lovely. The true colors come out. And if you went to my personal Facebook page, if you're friends with me, you can see it, but I leave my stuff open so all the nut jobs show up. And I think the irony is it's the people that were most pro lockdown, pro, losing your constitutional rights. Now they just want to move on. Why are you talking about this? And there's some travel agents out there that obviously would say to me, I'm not going to sell travel until this is over. For some people, they're still wearing masks, folks. They're still wearing masks. Not that they ever worked. Like I said, years and years ago, like living in Florida, in Central Florida in summer and using a soccer net to stop mosquitoes as opposed to a screen in your window. That's how effective they were. The 6-foot distancing, nobody in the medical field can tell us where that came from, including Sir Fauci. Yes, we knighted him, Sir Fauci. Some people are still saying he's my hero. One of my wife's friends saw a post from somebody she used to work with. He's my hero, and posted a picture of him. And I'm saying to myself, wow, do you not have access to anything? Or one of my former journalists from back in the 90s, who was a moron then, who's a bit, I guess he hasn't changed. I'm not going to name names, but he talks about like, well, where is this from? Where is this information from? Because a second post I put up, which got, 100 comments, and he was all over both posts, was Fauci's own words as recorded in his own diaries. I don't even know if this is real. Where'd you get this from? How do we even know this is true? And this and that. I'm like, well, maybe if you had a clue. I mean, you were a journalist. Yeesh. And at that moment, and by the way, I didn't hire him. He was there when I got there, and then he left at some point thereafter. And I don't know if he left. I think he got fired, actually. But I'm not 100% certain because I wasn't in control of that part of the business at the time. But what the guy is saying is, I don't even know if these diaries are real. Well, all you had to do was listen to your idol, Fauci, complain in his opening statement that Rand Paul released his diaries. They're actually his notes. And if you haven't read them, I swear, please read them. You're going to want to throw up. And while he was telling everybody what we had to do, and while they were talking about everything from quarantine camps and everything else, he was out doing interviews, having dinner with Jake Tapper at his house. I mean, on and on and on. And for those who are still defending this and who are telling me it's time to move on, no, it is not. I don't remember the Atlantic article that said, can we basically ask forgiveness and like just move on? That was a few years ago. No, because no one's been held accountable. And guess what? If there's no accountability, it can happen again. And if you are in the travel industry or you enjoy travel, it destroyed it for a couple of years. Some destinations stayed closed for over a year. Some places had mandates in place for well beyond that, even in our own US. And because there are states' rights, the governors controlled what happened in their various states. And everybody said, oh, Florida, you open too soon, you're going to kill everybody. The average age of the person that died from COVID was 80 with 4 comorbidities. That was the overwhelming majority, almost 80% of the people. That was the deal. And 5 years ago, I'm in my 50s. I take no medicine. I have no underlying conditions. I have nothing. But I had to get a vaccine to keep you safe. But you said vaccines work to protect. Remember, vaccines, you get the vaccine, you won't get sick, and you won't spread it. That was never the case, folks. And then you'll see the notes where we want to keep it quiet because, it's waning. And this gives us the opportunity for the boosters. Yes. And some of you are still taking them. And I think you've got brain damage from them. But anyway, yeah, anybody who thinks it's okay for one of the biggest crimes in history that's been imposed, where we were stripped of our rights to just be like, just move on, just move on. Let's just everybody just get together, hold hands, sing kumbaya, and move on. Sorry, folks, not going to happen. For me, I want to see some accountability. And then you ask yourself, how are we going to get accountability when the guy gets a 10-year wide open from 2014 to 2024 pardon? That's Fauci. COVID didn't start until 2020, folks, but he needs a pardon going back to 2014. Do you have a fucking brain cell? Do you have a fucking brain cell? Just try not to curse. But you don't, because how do you explain the 6 years before COVID a blanket pardon? Maybe, just maybe, because it was an engineered virus that they were fully aware of at the time, but didn't want anybody to know. Because the government, or these bureaucrats, without the government's authorization, were doing what's known as gain of function research. And their positioning was, well, we got to create these terrible viruses in order to create a way to counter them. Well, one of those terrible viruses got out and people died. But you want me to move on? Businesses were destroyed. People committed suicide. But you want me to move on? CNN wrote an article about 1,200 healthcare workers saying, drop all mandates if you're protesting, but if you're a business owner, you can't open your business. And you're bankrupt and you might kill yourself because now your entire life's work has been destroyed and you don't see a future. These things actually happened, okay? But you want us to move on. Getting lectures from talking heads on TV. Why? Because they get $6 billion a year in pharmaceutical advertising, folks. They were in their pocket. Wake the F up, man. Just wake up. And so I hope they press this guy. I don't know what they can get him on because of the blanket pardon. But again, blanket pardon going back to 2014. Could we go back to that far? Is that okay with you guys to go back to that? If he indeed did a workaround to send money to the Chinese Communist Party, to the Wuhan lab, in order to create a virus that ended up devastating world economies and added, somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 to $10 trillion in debt to our own country. Would that be okay? Is that okay with you? Devalued our dollar dramatically because of all that debt. Wow. I didn't think people could be any more stupid, but I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong because, man, there's some really stupid people out there. And I don't mind saying it because I would say it to your face. It is what it is. And I hope that there's accountability. Now I'm going to just interrupt for 1 second. Give me a little accountability. Follow us on social media. All the links are on the site. Plus at traveltube.com. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. We're on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. And of course, we're on YouTube. So please follow us everywhere. I'd really appreciate it. Now, with that said, did you see the TSA story? They found something unusual, to say the least, in somebody's checked bags. You'll never guess what it was. Take a wild guess. Let's see. Any takers? What do you think? Did you figure it out what it is? Oh, cannonballs. Yeah. Civil War era cannonballs in checked bags. What? Yeah. They discovered them in checked luggage at an Alabama airport on July 18th. So it's kind of crazy, but yeah. Remember, they shut down TSA because they wanted to shut down ICE, but ICE was funded through 2029. So all it did was inconvenience you and create a lot of pain. And the idea was if they could create so much pain, it might be politically expedient for one party, the party. And then they finally got it done. And of course, this has been a recurring thing for years and years and years. And not going to be surprised if we see it continue some more, because I believe it will continue. But the TSA, they have their issues. I wish it was privatized like it was before 9/11, but unfortunately, it's run by the government. And tell me what the government does well. That $42 billion for broadband, how'd that go? How about the tens of billions of dollars for all those charging stations? Yeah, that never happened. How about all the fraud because of the government programs? Yeah, hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud. Yeah, make it private. Put it under the control of the folks that, like, hello, do you have TSA in the cockpit flying with the pilots, with the airlines? You know what? It worked really well before the government got involved. It'll work really well and better and more efficient with the government not involved. But I don't see that happening. But I do appreciate the win here, that they found these cannonballs. They thought they were potentially dangerous. These were inert. They weren't going to blow up on the plane. But imagine cannonballs the size of a grapefruit that weigh as much as a shot put, and someone's bringing them through in their check bags. Not a good look. But thank God everyone's safe. And those cannonballs, because they're relics, they should go to where they belong, like a museum or something along those lines. Now, you have a few other things going on in the world of travel. One of the things I invested in a few years back was an e-bike. And here's another government thing, dudes. Another government thing. So would I ride an e-bike that goes 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour? There are some that do this, folks. The answer is no. It's like, that's a motorcycle. It's an electric motorcycle, but it's classified as a bike. And you have different levels. I forget, like level 2 goes up to like 20 miles an hour with pedal assist. Now level 3 up to 28 miles per hour. Some of them have throttles. Some of them you actually have to pedal, whatever. So New Jersey passed a law that if you want to drive around on an e-bike, you have to be at least 15 years of age. No problem with that. They say you need to have, it's 15 or 16, I forget what the age is, but it's like mid-teens. You have to wear a helmet if you're on your e-bike. You know what? I don't need a nanny for the government. If I crack my skull, I crack my skull. That's what my insurance will take care of, or they'll stick me in the ground, and my health insurance will get me treated and I recover. And if I don't, then my life insurance will gladly pay for my funeral. That's not the worst part about it. The worst part about the e-bike law is now you have to register your e-bike with the Division of Motor Vehicles in the state of New Jersey. And it gets better, folks. And you have to insure it. You have to insure your e-bike. Now, you could have a $10 million umbrella policy. You could have all sorts of liability coverage, all sorts of ways to protect yourself. And if you injure somebody by riding your e-bike into them and they sue you, you need to make sure that you're covered, right? Whether it's an e-bike, a road bike, or whatever. And the irony is, I live right off of Ocean, which is here in Long Beach Island, in the Brant Beach area. And it goes for about 3 miles straight down. And the speed limit is about 15 miles an hour in the peak period, because people are crossing because there's one house on the beach, then there's the road that's 50 miles an hour, and then there's all the other houses going back multiple blocks, depending on where you live. The road bike guys that love to go up and down in packs, they're going 25, 30, 35 miles an hour on their pedal bikes, road bikes. Are they required to wear helmets? Nope. Do they need to register their bikes? Nope. Do they need to carry extra liability insurance? Nope. But if you have an e-bike, even if it only goes 20 miles an hour, and these guys are going way faster than that, if you live in New Jersey and you don't want to get a ticket, you have to carry that insurance and show it if you get stopped. You also have to wear that helmet. Get a ticket for that as well. Guess what it costs to insure your e-bike? My neighbor just did, because he's a full-time resident. $250 a bike. He's got 2. That's $500 per year going to the insurance company. Who do these politicians work for? Yeah, they work for their donors, folks. You don't think that had anything to do with this? Do you think they're just going, oh my God, we just want to protect people. We want to make sure that you don't get sued into oblivion. They don't give a rat's ass. It's a money grab. It's another money grab. And another reason why I will never have a full-time home in New Jersey. I've got a beach house. It's registered to an LLC. Good luck finding me connected to it. But at the same time, I'm only here 2 to 3 months a year. That's it. That's it. And you'll never get me to come back to this state or any of these other states to think it's okay to keep reaching into your pockets. And while they're talking in the state of New Jersey about affordability, they hit you with this. Now, the irony about the e-bike thing is this. E-bikes will help save the environment, folks. No emissions. Instead of driving your gas-guzzling SUV down the road to go grocery shopping, you can put a couple of saddlebags on your e-bike and a basket in front, and you go do your grocery shopping doing that. But that's not good enough because, again, that was another bullshit thing, right? Oh, yeah, we'll all ride bikes and walk everywhere. Okay, that my 88-year-old mother-in-law needs us to drive her to the concert tomorrow night at the Bay in Ship Bottom. She can't ride a bike. But imagine if we had 3 people, 5 people that wanted to go to the concert. Well, instead of putting them all in a car and spewing those emissions, we would all get on e-bikes and ride our bikes over there. But now they want to charge you $250 a year for the privilege of riding an e-bike. And again, contrast it with the road bike guys that are going 25, 30, 35 miles an hour flying down the road. No issue. So the e-bike is designed to do short trips. You can do some long ones depending on your range. Cut down on emissions, make the earth greener. But now they want to charge you for that privilege. Square that. Again, the contradictions are absolutely incredible. But again, who sees it? Because they vote for these people in New Jersey. And you know what I say? Enjoy your state, folks. I'll come enjoy it in the summer. You guys can enjoy it the other 9 months and pay all the taxes and get hosed left and right because that's what's happening to you. And guess what? I'm done with it. I've been done with it since 2014 and I've never looked back. Now, what else is going on? Well, since we're at the Jersey Shore, and I've actually rented my house here at the Jersey Shore, I think it's appropriate to share that this vacationer says she paid $10,000 for Jersey Shore stay, and she's sparking a debate over whether the famed beaches are worth it. All right. What's nice about the Jersey Shore for somebody who lives in Florida is it's super comfortable. If I'm hanging out under an umbrella on the beach and the wind's coming off the ocean, I need like one of those Patagonia light hoodies. If it's in the evening and I'm at a concert on the beach, I need a sweatshirt. And I love that. I love that. The water temperature here, you're not getting me in it. It's like 75 degrees. And the locals here are like, oh my God, it's so warm. I'm like, dude, it's 86 right now in Florida. I'll go into that. But I ain't going into it up here. But I do love the sound. I do love sitting on the beach reading my book and watching people and just enjoying the great weather. The water, it's not like the Caribbean, folks. It's not like, if you're down there in Cancun and places like that where it's stunning, but it's pretty nice. And we see dolphins. Sometimes we see whales. So that's pretty cool as well. But what's interesting is, she says when the asking price is $10,000, would-be visitors aren't sure that it's worth the buck. Well, let me explain the breakdown here. And this is the lady that did it. She's like, I have to come down and I have to, bring my own linens. I've got to bring my own, I guess in her case, pillows. She says she's got to schlep, with all her stuff up to the beach. She's got to, cook all her own meals, etc. And she's saying basically we're paying $10,000 to camp. If you're in a house, you're not camping, but I get it. But what's really interesting is, let's say you rented, I've got a 6-bedroom house. And let's say you rented it for, I'll pick a number. Let's say it cost $12,000 for the week. You could put 6 couples in this house for the week, and it's $2,000 a couple. $2,000 per couple, $1,000 per person. You drive here because most people are coming from the tri-state area, so you're not paying for airline travel. You're not having the hassle of traveling 2 days out of your 7-day vacation, because you can get down here and get on the beach early. Your rental opens up at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You move in, you eat your breakfast and lunch at your house. So you go shop for groceries, you bring them from your local, house, wherever you live. Excuse me. You then have, I think I got it wrong. I think I posted that it was a concert every night. I think there are, it's every night, but Saturday. There might be a Saturday concert somewhere, but it's an 18-mile long island. And there's a concert Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. And Friday is really great. It's in Brant Beach. It's called Fire Pit Fridays. And the township sets up fire pits. And there's a band. And there's a couple thousand people on the beach. And it is freaking awesome. And that goes from 7 to 9 p.m. What do you pay for that free concert? It's free. That's right. It's a free concert. You don't pay a thing. So you get the entertainment for free. You conserve your money by eating breakfast and lunch. Because, like if you want to make some eggs, it's 5 minutes. You don't have to go spend, if you got a family or 12 people staying at my house, you don't need to go and spend a ton of money on that breakfast. You don't have to go and buy, go to the pancake house and everyone's 15 or 20 bucks. And if you got 12 people, it adds up. You're spending $200+ for breakfast. I get it. But that's the beauty of staying in a rental house. And then lunch, you're at the beach most of the day. So you come back for lunch, you come back for potty breaks or whatever. If she's spending $10,000, I don't know where she's renting, but that's a beach block rental. You're not going to be oceanfront for that, but you're going to be second, third, fourth, fifth house off the beach in the same block. I know that when I leave my house, if I take 80 steps, I'm on the beach. 80. So I have to go to the bathroom. It's a couple of minutes to go to the bathroom. If I want to go eat something or check on my dog, because we've got this beautiful black lab named Ben, I do that. And this is where I push back on the stupidity of what I call influencers, or some influencers. Some do great content. Others post crap content like this because it doesn't put it in context. If she's spending $10,000, I would ask her to let me know where she's staying. She's talking about schlepping back and forth and how hard it is, this and that. I'm going, okay, bring a beach wagon. They collapse. You can pull one out of your car, use that. You can buy one when you're down here for about $150, if that, probably less. Have it shipped to your rental, and then you just leave it. You're spending $10,000. What's $150 to make it easy to bring up your chairs and your umbrellas and all of that? I mean, and if you're staying in my house, we've had multi-generational families stay here. So grandma, grandpa, their kids, kids. My house can sleep somewhere in the neighborhood of like 16 people, beds for 16 people. So I'm sorry, where are you going to go where people can lay their heads, 16 of them, for less than $10,000? Where are you going? Plus airfare, plus everything else. Now, if you're a couple and you want to rent a 6-bedroom house, you're retarded. Yeah, I said it. You're retarded. That's the word. Remember, that word was okay. Back 2013, I think New York State changed it from the Association of the Mentally Retarded to something else. But again, the vocabulary's got to change because somebody might get offended. I'm one of those people. I don't care. I can't be canceled. I don't care. But again, I look at this and I say, break it down. What is your total cost of the vacation? Now, if you're not a beach person, you're not coming to the beach. And the comments that this person got on their TikTok video, which has been viewed 600,000 times, which I find interesting, is like, $10,000 to swim in that nasty brown Atlantic Ocean water? LOL, ick. And then somebody else said, you could pay $5,000 and be in the Caribbean. Okay. Are you renting a villa in the Caribbean that can house for $10,000? You can get a 4, 5, or 6 bedroom house on a beach block at the Jersey Shore. Again, where are you renting, folks? How many people are you bringing with you? How are you amortizing that? Last time I checked, round trip air to the Caribbean, it's about $1,500 for 2 people. That leaves $3,500. So if you're a couple, yeah, absolutely. I would do that. I would prefer to do that than coming to the Jersey Shore. But if you're with a large group or a multi-family, multi-gen situation, you got a lot of great options that are far cheaper than having everybody jet off somewhere. In fact, you may find that depending on where you want to travel to, the airfare alone is going to eat up 50, 60% of the budget easily of that $10,000. Again, back to my situation. Imagine keep it to 2 people to each room. 12 airline tickets to the Caribbean, even if they were dirt cheap at $500 round trip per person. Do the math, folks. Come on, I know some of you can't. That's $6,000. Now you got 12 people trying to stay at a Caribbean resort for $4,000. Yeah, it never happens. Please. But there are morons out there. And like I said, with the Fauci thing, they're everywhere on social media, and most of them are clueless. Most of them, including these influencers. And again, I'll say there are some that are really good and some that are completely clueless. Now, the last thing I want to ask you is this. Could you go on a plane and travel for 24 hours? Could you do that? I mean, I've been on some long flights, folks, but could you imagine flying all the way? Let's see, here you go. From France, nonstop, all the way across the continental United States and all the way down to, it looks like we hitting Sydney down there. I can't even see. 24 hours on a plane. So you get on the plane, depending on what time you get on the plane, and this is what I found going to Asia. So I get on the plane. The plane usually departs in the evening. I fall asleep. I wake up on the flight. I've already slept 6, 7, 8 hours in business class. And I look and I'm like, oh my God, I've got another 10, 11, 12 hours to go. And it's like, then you get there and you're almost ready to go to bed again. 24 hours, you could get 2 sleep cycles in if you're lucky, but it's still, you're going to wake up and you're like, oh my God, you're going to look at your watch and go, how many more hours do I have? Can I handle this? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. It's more convenient, but what I would prefer to do, as opposed to being on a 24-hour nonstop, I prefer to break up my travel by hitting some places along the way. Now, everybody can't do that, but let's face it. If you're flying 24 hours from France to Australia, or obviously less time if you're leaving from New York, because those flights are going to be available nonstop from New York, you probably aren't going for a couple of days. You're probably not going for a week. You're probably going for a decent amount of time. So where can you stop along the way? And that's what you think about. How can I break up my trip to experience other destinations and not lose my mind being on a plane for 24 straight hours? Because I know I would lose my mind. I would absolutely lose my mind. And you don't want me losing my mind on the plane, okay, folks? I'm just kidding, relax. That's a long time. But again, if you got to be there, are you going to suck it up? I think a lot of people will. And this is the new Airbus, newer Airbus A350 that's going to make this flight. They've already tested it. I'm sorry, it looks like it's going into Melbourne. Yes, that's Melbourne. Okay. So let's see. They depart Melbourne at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, go over LA and Vegas on Monday afternoon, cross the date line, fly a little bit over Canada. Wow. And they get there at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. So yeah, that would be fun. No, that wouldn't be fun. But again, the trade-off is, do you want to get there sooner? Your call. You're the traveler. You decide. Me, I'll break it up and I'll take a lot of extra time because I have time. And I'm fortunate that I do. And I bet you wish you did too. Now, here's what I wish. I wish you'd subscribe, follow us on the podcast, follow us on social media. It's traveltube.com everywhere. And that cool logo over my shoulder, kind of Art Deco style, that's what you're going to find when you look for us. So please follow traveltube.com. There's only one. There's a lot of imitators, but there's only one travel expert channel, and that is traveltube.com. Till next week, I'll talk to you in my sleep. Good night.